Hello, this is Terry from Fabric Junction in beautiful Sturgis, South Dakota. And today I'm excited to show you a new program. It's a 9-month block of the month brought to us by Marcus Fabrics out of a beautiful line of boutique. It is done in 2 colorways. To my right, we have the Radiant Reflection out of the Brights for those that like to be colorful and wild. A great color combination. And as Christopher shows you, each of these fabrics, as you can see, they're numbered. But on the left is the River Rock group. A little more neutral palette with some blues, greens, and lavenders to give it a little bit of spice. Now the fabrics are all numbered. As you can see, I use a sticky to number the fabrics. And I need you to kind of pay close attention because not all the pictures in the pattern match up real clear. So it took a little time to make sure I matched up the right fabric with the right number. So take your time, go through, get them matched up, and then I keep the sticky on them through the whole process of making the quilt. So today we're going to do the first block, which is right here. It's a beautiful block. Each month you'll actually do 2. You'll do 1 large and 1 smaller with a spacer. And this month, here is the spacer that goes with this. And over in this corner is the smaller block. Done identical. These 2 blocks are laid out absolutely identical, just the fabrics change so that they create this wonderful mixture of textures and colors within your fabrics. So one of the first things you want to do after you have matched up your fabrics, tag them with their appropriate number, and as you can see, I use a sticky, cut your blocks. And as you can see here, I have my blocks cut. These are some of my blocks. And I did not cut the triangles. In the instructions, it'll tell you to take your block and cut it once or cut it twice, whatever it says. I chose not to do that because I prefer using a different method than having all these little triangles sitting around. And that's what I'll be showing you today. So one of the sets that we use in the blocks is the half square triangle. And that is used right here. And if you look, there's a lot of half square triangles throughout the whole quilt. So this is the method that I prefer when I make half square triangles. I cut my square. I like to use my Fonson Porter seam marker. I put it on the fabric, point to point. I use a sharp pencil and I draw a line. Now I know sometimes people get concerned that that line gets too fat. If that bothers you, when you go to stitch, instead of stitching on the line, just stitch to the inside where the seam allowance is. Just right beside it. Okay, with that, I need to match it up. I take my sticky off because I don't need it now that I'm going to sew it. I line up. And when I do a stack of these, I do chain piecing. So I would have my whole stack sitting there, and I just sew down one side. Let me see where my stay lined up on my needle. Make sure that's where I'm. Yes. Once I have my stack done, I actually lift it, just give it a turn, and I go down the other side. Pull enough thread so that you can line up again on your needle. Down the other side. Now you can use your rotary cutter or your scissors. A lot of times I I use my scissors on smaller ones. That's up to you. After you have it cut, like with most things, I press to the dark or the less bulky. And in this case, I'm going to press to the dark. Yeah. Once I have got it done, you have a little dog ear. I just snip my dog ear. And there's my half square triangles. Now these are ready for the block. I've done all my half square triangles, and now I have to do an hourglass. And an hourglass starts off the same way. So I find my pieces that go into the hourglass, and again I mark them. You can see it on this one real easy. I did the same technique, mark, and I mark. Each one of these is going to be matched up with a lavender in this case. So again, same step as I did with the half square triangle. And as you can see, I'm doing them both at the same time. And again, two pieces. Cut down the middle. Now in this case, because of the next step, I want to make sure I press towards the lavender on this one, because it will be the darker on one, but it's kind of the lighter on the second. But I do want them going, all my folds towards the lavender. Okay, the next step, because I want to create an hourglass, is I need to mix these. So I have lavender on two sides and the other colors on the other one. And as you can see, I pull it together till I can feel that this is together. If you want to look, if you're a little unsure, just take your finger a little ways, tip this up and go, am I matched? And as you can see, I'm matched. I'm not a big fan of pinning because I don't want to shift it, but I do need to mark it again, because I'm going to treat this just like I did when I started. So I do a little line there, I do a bit of a line there, flip my hand over, a little line there, and one there. So I have enough that I can see, and I'm going to have to do both of them. If you don't want to mark it when you have it put together, that's okay too. I just happen to have that one put together, so I gently marked it. This one I'll mark and then put together. Do whatever you're comfortable with. And make sure that my lavenders are opposite. Line up, and I can, like I said, I can feel that those two are together. So my goal is to keep them pushed together. And again I sew. And one of the things I try to look for, but it doesn't always happen, but I try to put the folded seam going into the machine. That way it pushes it towards the other seam. And I try to do that as often as I can. Sometimes it doesn't always work well to do it that way, but most of the time I like to have that seam towards the needle. Because as you can see, when I turn this, so on my first pass I got it nice and snug, but on my second pass it'll be the other way. And I'm not as concerned this time because the first one has it snug. So this will keep it in place. Oops. Okay. Again, same step. I separate them. I cut right down the middle. And then I press. And of course, after I press, I need to get rid of my dog ears. Oops. So while I'm setting this up, I think I'll have Christopher scan the fabrics again to give you a second look at the variety, so you can double check that you have gotten your numbers and your fabric matched up, because that part is important, because sometimes when you get your packet you'll have two of a specific color, so you want to make sure that gets used in the right place, because they are all such beautiful colors. And they do give you a lot of fabric to work with, which is great. So if you miscut, there'll be enough fabric that you should be able to kind of correct it yourself, because there's enough fabric left over that when we get our 9 months done, I'll give you an idea of what you could possibly use some of your leftover fabric for. So now that he's showing you the fabrics a second time, I have the large block laid out, in which now I need to fill in with my pieces. And you'll see my lovely hourglass that I did. And I need to make sure that I get it set the right way. So I do refer to my pattern, and it tells me that the light piece goes towards my center. So if I remember that, I should be able to get them all in the correct order. There we go. So now I have all my pieces in order. Double check, sometimes triple check, sometimes again, and I'll still get one turned wrong after I'm done. Okay, once I'm going to, before I start sewing this one together, I do want to show you the smaller one. This is the smaller one, just as lovely. You can see the order of the pieces. You can see the little hourglass that we put together, and in this one too, the lights all go to the middle. Here's our pointed star, our squares, and then our outer half square triangles, and that one makes a lovely block. And then the spacer. Now the spacer, you're going to also make an hourglass, except this time you're only using 2 colors. And using the technique that I did, you will have one extra. Save it. I get plans to use this, and I'll show it to you after we finish our 9 months. But anyway, once you get this one put together and you have sewn your large block together, this one will be sewn to the bottom. After I have everything together, I take all my little tags off and I save them for the next block. And then when they won't stick, I do throw them away because at some point they'll quit sticking. But to put the block together, as you can see, I have it laid out. What will be on your left at the top, take the second column, flip it over, grab it on the section you're going to sew, and we go to the machine. And now we're going to put our large block together, 1/4 inch seam allowance, and I'm ready to go. With each one, I reach over and grab the next one as I work my way towards my body, and I line it up. As you can see, you get the idea of how I put the blocks together. Cut, pull back to the top, I open it up, and I grab the next one and I grab the right hand side so I know it'll flip the direction I want. So as I go down, grab it from the right so it'll flip exactly where you want it to match up. Okay, and I need you to continue sewing in this fashion. I'll finish this row. But I think you get the idea on how we put the block together. Before I press it, make sure you take all your stickies off before you press it. Anyway, sew all your blocks together. And as you do, you'll see they'll be strung together. Don't separate those. You're going to open it up and take a look to make sure everything is in the right order. Then come and sew the columns together. Fold it over. Do your seam allowance, flip one left, one right, and stitch your whole row together. And once you have it all done, you'll have the larger version of this lovely quilt. So I hope you come check us out. And if you're interested, it's not too late to join us at junctionfabric.com or give us a call at 605-347-2235. We'd love to have you participate in this beautiful block of the month brought to you by Marcus Fabrics. Thank you for watching.